Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, all to the inaugural Ray and Benny Talk Sports podcast. Thank you for joining us. And, of course, joining me is the eternal co-host, Bernardo Miele. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good. Raymond, how about you? It's been a good week so far.
I'm doing fabulous. I enjoyed some NFL action this weekend. Of course, a little disappointed with my Pittsburgh Steelers. They're trash, bro. They're trash.
I'll join you in that one with the 49ers.
Yeah, but they're not trash. You have a future, man. After Ben, what are we going to do? What are we going to do here?
The future is supposed to also be now, though.
I went to the grocery store.
This year, I'm not so sure.
I went to the grocery store in the fourth quarter, man. I didn't even finish that mess with Aaron Rodgers. Did you do that?
I did finish it.
Yeah, well, bless.
It was tough, but I did finish it.
Greg, well, we're going to talk a lot of NFL action this week. We're going to also delve into a bit of CFL quickly and also some NHL. We're going to talk about that historic matchup with Tom Brady coming back to New England and meeting up with Bill Belichick. We'll talk about some also strong teams, some contenders, maybe pretenders in the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. And we'll also look at some of these young quarterbacks coming up. A lot of them are playing, some getting some spot action, some starting from day one. And then we'll look at some CFL and then jump into some NHL, looking at the Canadian teams for this year. We got some exciting action with some young Canadian teams on the brink, with some Canadian teams that are possibly ready to make a push for the Stanley Cup. So let's start with some NFL action. Let's go to that huge matchup with tickets going for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 with Tom Brady coming back to New England. Did it meet up to the hype? How would you describe that game, Bernardo?
Well, he didn't get his 50 points that he wanted to put up there at all. Didn't even come close, really.
No.
He went back there. It was a great atmosphere. They cheered him, and then they got on him after that. He didn't. I mean, he put up some decent yardage, but the fact that he didn't even throw a TD back in that game in New England was kind of a little disappointing. Expected more out of that, but I guess we should have known that Bill would be ready for Brady.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit as we were conversing over the past week or so about football, how, New England, even though it's a young team, they have some pieces, and they have Bill Belichick with that defense, and they played like a top 5 defense. Tom Brady, he did get some yards, but he did look frazzled for a lot of the game. He couldn't really get into a rhythm at all. They had a good pass rush going.
Yeah, he was feeling it. A lot of his throws weren't the greatest. He was basically 50% completion percentage, not too far off there. If it wasn't for Leonard Fournette, maybe it would have been a different story in this game. And the run game for Tampa kept them alive and kept them in it. It's funny to say that because you expected them to be better than the Patriots, and maybe Bill would have kept it close, but you would have thought Tampa at some point would have pulled away or won by more than just 2 points. Mac Jones to me looked pretty good out there, actually.
Yeah, we'll get to him and the other QBs, but he did look composed, and they did have a chance to win the game. Like that kick at the end of the game hit the upright. It had a good 2-3 yards to make it in, so they almost, got the lead. Can't say won that game because Tom Brady in the last minute or so, he's magic. But so that leaves the question here: are the Patriots for real? Are they close? For me, I think they're close with Mac Jones and that defense. He's looking better and better every week. What do you think with the Patriots? What was the sign that we saw from them this weekend?
Yeah, I'll agree with you on this one that they are close. They've looked okay to start the season. I'm surprised because you go back to last week where against the Saints, they didn't look great. Mac Jones did not look good. And then they came into this Sunday, and it was a bit of a hype game, so maybe they wanted to do well and play well in it, so maybe they look better than they actually are. They lost a close game to the Dolphins in week 1. This week they get the Texans, so that should be an easy win for sure. And then we'll see. They're up against the Cowboys a couple weeks after that, but I don't know if they're making the playoffs this year, but they're definitely in line to be probably competing for a playoff spot next year for sure.
Yeah, they look like a Belichick team. They're in no rush. They're not pushing anything. They're taking what they got, and they're getting better and better every week. And we talk about Mac Jones, and future quarterbacks and Tom Brady. And we had a quote this week, actually yesterday or today, from Michael Irving saying that Dak Prescott is possibly the closest thing that we have right now in the NFL to Tom Brady. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about that quote. Come on, dude. But I'm going to ask you, what do you think about these Dallas Cowboys after what we saw, what they did to the Panthers? Are they for real?
Yeah, I'll have to respond still to that quote. This Michael Irving, I don't know what the hell he's on with that, but Dax, he's a good quarterback, right? For sure. Not going that. I would not put him anywhere close to Brady level at all right now. He's still making mistakes out there. But Dallas is a more complete team, and they're not relying on Dak to throw it 40 times.
Yes.
As an owner of Dak in fantasy football, I see that quite a bit. I expected a lot more points out of him, but Zeke's gotten going again. Tony Pollard's a good second guy coming in there. They got some good receivers in Cooper and Lamb. Schultz is doing pretty good at the tight end position. So, and their defense is actually competent this year. So that's keeping them in games and closer instead of having to score 40 points to win games. Yeah,
I'm not buying, and not just because it's too early in the season. You know what? They're Dallas Cowboys. They always find a way to mess something up mid-season. Something's going to get them. I don't know if it'll be an injury or some kind of implosion in the dressing room. And they also have Dan Quinn. Sorry, bro. That's a coach that lost that game 28-3. What Dan Quinn are they getting? Are they getting the Dan Quinn who kind of let up in the Carolina game? That defense looked good. And in the fourth quarter, Sam Darnold still had a chance to come back in it because they played prevent. They got a little soft. So what Dan Quinn are you getting? Are you getting the defensive coordinator Legion of Boom? Or are you getting the Atlanta head coach that allowed New England to come back 28-3 by playing a passive game? I think that'll be the big question, and I think you're going to get the real Dan Quinn, and I think they will fold, to be honest with you. Let's move on to another team in the NFC that looks real. How about those Arizona Cardinals at 4-0, beating the Rams, who many thought last week were the number one team in the NFL? Give me your thoughts on those Arizona Cardinals, Bernardo.
Yeah, I was quite shocked by this outcome this past week. After watching them against the Vikings and then struggle even a bit against the Jaguars, I thought for sure the Rams would roll over the Cardinals, and we'd find out for sure that the Cardinals aren't ready to compete yet. But after that, they handled the Rams pretty good. The Rams a big letdown after beating up Tampa Bay the week before. But the Cardinals looked good on offense, and their defense, gave Stafford troubles and held even Cooper Kupp, who was going crazy for weeks in check there. So Cardinals, they play my Niners this week, and I'm a bit afraid what's going to happen in that game. Kyler Murray is on an MVP pace right now, and AJ Green is back to being AJ Green too.
Yeah.
So it's not just Hopkins. You got AJ Green, you got Christian Kirk, and the rookie Rondale Moore there.
Yeah.
And you know what? And freaking Connor and Edmonds have looked pretty solid as a 1-2 punch. So
yeah, I think he got like 120 on like 12 carries.
Yeah,
that's like 10 yards a carry. James Conner was in the end zone twice.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, he's exciting to watch. That dude has like the legs of Lamar Jackson and the arm of Patrick Mahomes. He's younger than those dudes, and he's playing in an offense that was catered to him in Texas Tech and University with the coach Cliff Kingsbury joining him in Arizona. So I am impressed. And at 4-0, 4-0 can happen anyway. And there are some teams in the past that were 4-0. Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys with Tony Romo and Terrell Owens in 2007. Of course, they fell apart. Remember that year? Jerry Jones was like, hey, here's tickets to the NFC Championship he gave to his players. And then, Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin came in, and they ruined that party. Yeah. And he also had teams like the Buffalo Bills. In 2008, they started out 4-0, and they went totally downhill and lost like 13-0 to the Patriots. So they could be that kind of team. So who are the Cardinals?
The Broncos were once 6-0 one season there with Josh McDaniels and Jay Cutler, and then they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they went 8-8. 8-8, bro. And how about we add the Cardinals in 2012? With Kevin Kolb as a starter. They started out 4-0. And then they went 1-11 the rest of the way. So either way, I don't think they're that bad. The Cardinals are not the 2012 rehashes. But I don't think they're there yet. I think they're like Baltimore 2 years ago. There, but not quite there, especially on defense. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out for sure. I see them. I mean, I don't see them collapsing like those other teams do and not making the playoffs. I guess these other division games, they still got two against the Niners, two against Seattle, and one more against Rams. So I expect them to be top games. I'm still worried about Sunday, but I do expect the Niners to come out playing hard. They got a game against the Browns and the Packers. So yeah, they don't have an easy schedule the rest of the way. They also got a game against Panthers, so they'll battle. But like you say, I don't think they're ready there to compete for a Super Bowl. But they look way better than I expected, and I expected Kingsbury to probably be fired by now, and he's actually held in pretty good. And he's got that offense humming right now. So
they're the scariest offense in the NFL for sure. So with that said, we talked about Arizona, we talked about Tampa Bay, we talked about the Rams a bit. Who would you say your top three teams in the NFC are at this point in the season?
You know what? I'm gonna have to. I'll have to. You got to throw Arizona in there. It doesn't matter what the rest of the season's going, but they've looked pretty good so far on that.
Yes.
So I'll throw them up there. I'm still gonna throw the Rams in there. They came out of a tough, hard-fought game with Tampa Bay. A lot of hype in that game, and sometimes that next game is always a little bit of a letdown. And you're not ready for it. And a team like the Cardinals just attack and take it from you. Then number three, I'll probably throw in Tampa Bay. You can't push Brady down too far there off that list. When you got Brady at quarterback, anything could happen.
Yeah, I'm with you with Tampa Bay. There's no way Tampa Bay can't be in the top three of the NFC right now. I know they didn't look too strong against the Patriots, and they lost against the Rams, but that's Tom Brady. They looked rough last year too. But he's a professional and he's a champion, so he'll get it done. I'll put Arizona in there right now, just because of that performance against the Rams. The Rams still possibly could be there, but Arizona looked too strong, and I'm going to actually put Green Bay in that top three. Aaron Rodgers, man, that dude I can't leave him out of the top three, so I'm going to take Green Bay. How about the AFC? Who do you see the top three in that conference?
After that performance there last night by the Chargers over the Raiders, I am definitely going to have to throw the Chargers into that top three. They look good on offense. Herbert looks like one of the best QBs already in this league. And that defense was just humming last night. The Raiders had two drives the whole game. But otherwise, the Chargers just shut them down pretty good.
Yep, I agree.
I'll throw in the Bills in there. They still have not had any tough competition. But, again, they've shut out two teams this year in Miami and Houston. So and Josh Allen's looked pretty good since starting off a little bit slow in week one.
Yep.
And then again, you know what? The third one, it's kind of tough for me to figure out which one's going to be there. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs in that top three, but their defense worries me quite a bit. They let up a lot of points even against the Eagles this week after Jalen Hurts looked terrible against the Cowboys the week before. But I can't count that offense out in any game, so I'll put the Chiefs up there.
Yeah, I'm with you. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3, I'm with you, bro. I got the Bills in there without a doubt. They're just looking good. That offense is going to get better and better. And I'm a huge fan of Josh Allen. The Chargers, wow, did they look good last night? That offense is humming, and Justin Herbert he's a young quarterback, but he looks mature out there. He's not worried at all. I'd like to put the Chiefs up there. I really would. Patrick Mahomes is dependable, and
Josh Gordon's there now, so.
Yeah, Josh Gordon's there. He might help out. I agree, but I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm going to
The
take the
Raiders.
Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
Ravens,
sorry.
not the Raiders,
Yeah,
bro.
Ravens,
No,
Ravens.
no, as much as they're a surprise, I don't think so. It's going
Yeah,
to be the Baltimore Ravens, I think, as my top three right now. That running game is just tested and true. No matter who they got in there, they're going to get you 100 yards. I get it. They did a little funny play against Denver where they got the 5
yeah.
yards to get that streak going.
Fangio was
Um,
pissed.
yeah. Just to let you all know, Baltimore ran a play at the end of the game to get 5 yards to make sure they broke 100 yards so they
Yeah,
can tie the all-time record for 43 games in a row that the Pittsburgh Steelers have right now. So that was a record play, but I don't blame him. I don't blame Harbaugh. I still got love. But that Ravens team, I think they're just ready to go this year, and I think in the long run, they will be better than the Chiefs. And with
yeah.
all those
They're
teams
they're
that we,
coming around. They're
yeah.
coming around the Ravens. They definitely gotten better over the last couple weeks. Their defense actually looked pretty strong against the Broncos after giving up quite a bit of points in the first couple weeks. So yeah, so maybe they are coming around. We'll see over the next little bit. They got a tough game coming up this week against the Chargers. So
Yeah, yeah, we got some young QBs and some old QBs in that mix there. But let's talk about this year's crop of QBs from the draft. I want you to rank them in regards to performance and what you've seen so far. Start from bottom to the top and give me like a few words to justify your pick at where they are. Don't be all long-winded like me. Go ahead.
well, I'm gonna put Mac Jones as number one so far. Uh,
Yo, that's not bottom to the top. That's
oh,
top to the
sorry.
bottom. You
Wow.
root the spoiler alert, man. Bottom to the top. Let's try that again. Bernardo, bottom to the top. Who are you ranking your QBs here? Take it away. Take two.
All right, bottom to top, eh?
Yeah, bro.
Um, let's start off. I'm gonna put right now just because we haven't seen too much of him or anything like that. We got a half of him, and in that game he looked decent at times, but for the most part he looked like a rookie. And I'm gonna start with Trey Lance at number five for the 49ers.
We gotcha.
He's got a ways to go, and I don't know. He didn't get enough reps with the number ones and all that stuff. He made some stuff happen in that game, but it wasn't enough to impress me. Justin Fields bounced back a little bit and looked better in his second start, but it was also against the Lions, so not a tough matchup there.
Yeah,
So I'll,
yeah.
I'll slot him in at number four. Although he's going to get benched by Nagy as soon as Dalton is back, apparently. So maybe
Trash.
maybe we'll get one more week of Fields and see if he's actually got it. I'll
Mm-mm.
throw Zach Wilson at number three.
All
Um,
right.
he looked better this week. Finally, got some throws together, and him being
Yeah,
at number three is based a lot off of this past week. Um, as
absolutely.
he finally maybe he figured it out. We'll find out if he did or not. Then let's go Trevor Lawrence. He actually looked pretty good too on Thursday night against the Bengals. Was starting to
Yes.
sling that ball around. Their running game got going good with James Robinson, so it was helping Lawrence out a bit there. But I just worry about Lawrence's situation there in Jacksonville with his coach Urban Meyer. Will Urban Meyer be around for the rest of the season?
Oh, bro.
And then number one. Did I mention number one? Oh yeah,
I
Mac
think you did.
Jones.
I think you did. Yeah. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's throw Mac Jones in there right now. He's looked the most confident. Yeah, he's looked like a rookie in a couple weeks, but I was very impressed by him on Sunday night. In that situation when everyone's there to see Tom Brady returning to New England, and he was a bit of a background character, but he came out and showed that he can definitely play in the league, and I think he'll be around for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. All great points. All great points. I had a bit of a difference on the bottom of the order here. I'll go from bottom to the top. Of course, I'm not going to pick on him, but let's just give a shout out to Davis Mills in Houston. My goodness, 4 picks with a QBR of 0.8. Bill O'Brien has really screwed that franchise over. They're not going to be good for a while.
Yeah,
And you know what? The only thing the one thing that their success is banking on is what they get for this Deshaun Watson guy
yeah.
who has 20 sexual misconduct charges up in the air against him. Just saying. So good luck with that. But let's start with Justin Fields at number 5. Amazing athletic talent, but he's really held back by Matt Nagy. I think that kind of blurs his future for me. At 4, I got Zach Wilson. You're right. He looked better. 300 yards, 62%. Only 1 pick, although he leads the league with 8 picks. But it seems like him and Corey Davis has a connection there.
Yeah.
Let's go for the 3, Trey Lance. I'm taking him because of his athletic upside. 2 TDs, no picks, great. Minimal yards, though. Take out that 70-yard touchdown. He's like 80 yards for the week. But he'll have a full week to prep for Arizona. At number 2, I have Trevor Lawrence like you do. He is looking good. He's getting older. And like you, it depends on Urban Myers and if he's done with lap dances from young girls at restaurants that he owns. Isn't that crazy? You're not in university no more, Urban Meyer. Grow up or go to USC. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's something.
And at number 1, we got Mac Jones. If you say set up for success, you're going to New England in a system that's proven with a coach who's even-keeled and won't push you too much. Mac Jones. That kid can make the throws. He can make his reads, second, third reads. And like you said, he played great under pressure. So that's my rankings. And I'm sorry I went more than 5 words. I told you not to let me go long-winded, but I did. So let's talk briefly about the CFL. What are we going to talk about in the CFL? Them Winnipeg Blue Bombers, boy. They are definitely the number 1 team in the league. What's your thought on how the CFL is looking right now?
Yeah, if you're gonna say anything, it's like you look at it at this point going, yeah, Bombers should easily come away with the Grey Cup. But as you and I know, sometimes the best team in the league does not end up winning. Hello, 2001. So
yeah,
we can expect a lot. This defense is on a historic pace. They've only allowed, what was it in the fourth quarter? 6 points. Yeah,
6 points.
6 points in the fourth quarter of the CFL. That's ridiculous, right?
That's unheard of.
It's not even often that most teams don't even go a quarter without scoring 6 points. Never mind, in close games or at the end of the game, like teams just can't punch it in on us in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, that defense and the offense looked pretty good against BC, putting up 500 yards or
Yes.
So maybe they're getting it together and rounding it to form. The only setback, of course, is what happened with Kenny Lawler and his DUI. So hopefully he learns from that and he comes back strong after his 1-game suspension. But the Rough Riders lost to the Stampeders this week, who were struggling. So
yep.
And then the East Division, you got the Tiger Cats. We're up on the Alouettes. They blew it in the fourth quarter. So there's no team really standing out in that division either. And right now it's this division, the league actually. It belongs to the Bombers, and if they can stay healthy, they'll keep cruising.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Bombers and then the rest of the league. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Zach Collaros is getting into MVP form, and people are already saying he's an MVP candidate. I think that offense is only going to look better. Unfortunate that Kelly Lawler will be sitting out this week. But, when you still have Darvin Adams ready to go, you still have Rashid ready to go, I think their offense will be okay. And that defense is just ridiculous. So that's all I got to say.
We'll get to
Bombers,
see Roosevelt. We'll get to see Roosevelt this week as well. So
that's crazy. You got that receiver coming off the bench. That's quality coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Quality. Let's see what kind of quality we have in the NHL with the Canadian teams. Another ranking we got going on here. Give me your rankings. Actually, let's go from top to bottom together here. Rankings. Not top to bottom. Let's go bottom to top. Rankings of the Canadian NHL teams. Who do you got at 7, Bernard?
Well, there's no one else I can choose but Ottawa for that position.
You bet.
They're still in rebuilding mode, but when you are already having contract issues with probably your best young player in Brady Tkachuk, that's not a good sign, and it's not a good start for the 2021 season. They need Tkachuk. They need Brady. I mean, they're going to be obviously worse without him. They're already going to be bad with him. So if you can't get that under control, then it's going to be a tough season. Goaltending-wise, and that's it. Matt Murray's got to be better for them to even, get away from the bottom of the standings. So, but I fully expect them to be the worst of the Canadian teams.
Yeah, Ottawa's in the same situation as Winnipeg as being a small market team that doesn't really attract big free agents. So already, when you can't keep your free agents like Brady Kachuk, you're in trouble. They got to hope that some like Tim Stutzel also continues to improve. They can see if you could get a full season out of him. So they possibly could be a good team in 2 to 3 years, depending on their drafting. And like you said, they have Matt Murray in net. Not the best athlete, but he's solid. He gets himself in position. But they're really not going to be a factor, especially in that tough Atlantic division. Who do you got at 6? I also had Ottawa at 7, by the way.
Yeah, just to add on with Ottawa too, there, if you compare them to Winnipeg in the small market, the biggest difference is the owner. Melnick seems like quite the character, whereas Chipman, everyone enjoys coming here and being with Chipman, and I think that helps some of the players stick around. So,
yep, they've maintained Winnipeg culture.
yeah.
Who do you got at 6?
I'm gonna go with the Canucks at 6. They're coming off a couple players sitting out till the beginning of, or almost to the halfway through training camp with Elias Peterson and Hughes. I don't know if they've got enough up front to make enough noise there. But so I'm gonna slap Vancouver at number 6.
I got the same thing. We saw them with injuries last year, and we're like, oh, they might be next team, but I don't think so. Even with Peterson back and them bringing in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, which is a big pickup. Don't get me wrong. That's a huge pickup, but I don't think they have the goaltending. Thatcher Demko's okay. He's the opposite of Matt Murray. He's an amazing athlete that can make some amazing saves, but in the long run, I don't think they have the goaltending or the power up front to get far. So I also had Vancouver. My goodness, we're going to agree on everything, aren't we? I also had Vancouver at 6. Who do you got at 5? Tell me you got Winnipeg at 5.
I do not got Winnipeg 5.
Of course. Who do you got?
I'm going to have to throw Montreal in at 5, just because the injuries to Carey Price, he's out for quite a bit, I think half the season. The injury to their best player, basically, or best defenseman in Shea Weber, he's out, I believe, for the whole season. I don't think they're going to capture the same kind of magic they had in their Stanley Cup run last season. I think they're gonna struggle up front, or especially on D, without having Shea Weber. Ben Sherratt's not going to be the guy to carry that defensive core to the next level. So I'm going to put Montreal at number 5 and out of the playoffs as well. So,
okay, I agree with you with a lot of that. I'm looking at Carey Price, see what that injury does. If he can return to form, he can still carry a team. And I'm really excited to see someone like Suzuki and also Caulfield. I want to see how that guy plays in a full season. And they're also in a very hard division with Toronto, T-Bay, Panthers, and the Bruins. Yeah. So I don't see them making the playoffs, to be honest with you. They lost Shea Weber, like you said. They brought in some guys like Matthew Perreault, local players who have the heart and might be able to lift them up beyond that, but I don't think they're making the playoffs. So I had them at 4, actually. So I'm going to flip around, and I had Calgary at 5. I'm very concerned with them, with Mark Giordano being gone. Who is that leadership piece? Does Daryl Sutter really mesh with this young team? He's an old school guy. I think he's almost kind of done in regards to bringing young teams up like this. And yes, they brought in Blake Coleman from Tampa Bay, but they'll really have to lean on him. And you have guys like Monahan and Goudreau who are on their last years. And if they're not a playoff team, they'll probably trade them. Yeah? Might as well get the pieces that you can, and then they'll be in rebuilding mode. So I had Calgary at 5 and Montreal at 4. Who do you have at 4?
Well, it's gonna be Calgary at number 4.
There you go.
I agree with most of what you said there, and especially with Sutter. I don't know if he's the guy to take him to the next level or anything like that. But that Pacific Division is fairly weak.
Yes,
and and we don't know how good Seattle's going to be at this point. The Sharks, the Ducks, the Kings, I expect them to all be bad. So this is where I think Calgary is going to get most of their points out of that group. But yeah, losing Giordano will probably be tough for them because of the leadership that he brought. Jacob Markstrom's a question mark. Is he going to be able to hold up for a whole year playing well, or are we going to see Jacob Markstrom who plays one good game, 2 bad games kind of thing? And like you said, I agree. If they're out of the playoff spot, Goudreau and Monahan, if those guys are on their last year contract, might as well ship them out because I can't see Gaudreau signing back there anyways.
Okay, so we got 3 teams left, and I think again we're going to fall in line here. I think that was the 4 5 are only our switches. Who do you got at 3? You got Edmonton, don't you?
Yeah, I do, but I could easily flip Winnipeg and Edmonton around here.
Wow, look at you.
I'm going Winnipeg, or Edmonton at number 3, just based. I'm going to say goaltending right now. I'll give the edge there to Winnipeg. So goaltending is still going to be an issue, I think, for the Oilers this year. And then still getting enough points or players outside of their top 2 lines, or with Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins. Puljujärvi's done pretty well, so maybe he can join that top 6 as well and make a statement for himself this year. But other than that, they don't have the depth up front, and their D with Nurse is good, but they got a lot of question marks back there too.
Yeah, I'm to the point with you there. They had a heartbreaking sweep to the Jets in the playoffs, and that should motivate you to get better. But really, have they gotten better? Have they gotten better? If Draisaitl and McDavid don't have a good game and they don't have the power play advantage, are they better?
No, and then you throw in Duncan Keith, who's supposed to be their savior or whatever. Duncan Keith's already on the backside of his career, so I don't think that's actually going to make them any better.
Yeah, how about Mike Smith? Old. I think they're in trouble. So let's go for number 2. Who do you got for number 2?
Let's go with the Jets at number 2. I think they have the forwards to definitely compete. They have the centers up there that, everyone always says you need good centers to go far, and then they have that with Scheifele, Dubois, Stastny, and Lowry. Depending on how you play them, even if Stastny's not starting off at center, at least you got him to come in and he can definitely play center at any point. So I definitely see that top 9 there is still one of the better ones in the league. And I think we'll see a bounce back season from Dubois this year, and Dubois and Nealers could make some magic this year together. The D-core for the Jets has, it's gotten better with the additions of Dillon and Schmidt. Then you still got Morrissey and Pionk. And then we'll see, you also got DeMello there, and then we'll see who the 6th guy is, if it's going to be Stastny or, Pomo. He's probably going back to Beaulieu there. So, and, he's got Heinola in the wings. And then, of course, you got Hellebuyck, who's probably the best goalie in the league there. So he'll definitely be able to keep them alive in ending games if they struggle at all. But the only thing for me is if he goes down, that's the Jets go down, because their backup position is very weak. With Eric Comrie, sorry.
Yeah, I have the Maple Leafs at 2.
Whoa.
They're in that tough division. I don't think they have the depth that Winnipeg has up front, and I don't think they have the goaltending. Sure, Campbell might be good. They also brought in Mrazek just in case, because they're done with Freddie Anderson. But I don't think that their goaling is 100% steady when I compare them with the Jets. So that really is what puts the Jets up front. And yes, I also am concerned with Eric Comrie as the backup. But I think that they have enough talent on the back end and the front end playing defense that they can make up for his deficiencies, if he does have any, coming up in this season. So I have Winnipeg Jets at number 1. They just have too much depth up front, and I love the additions of Schmidt and Dillon. We might even be able to put Morrissey on the second pairing and have Schmidt and Pionk up front, and the line combinations are endless. Even though we know your boy Paul Mo doesn't like to shake up those lineups. I see you smiling over the microphone.
Exactly.
But I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets at number 1. You tell me why Toronto should be number 1.
Yeah, I'm still going to leave Toronto at number 1 for now. I know whatever happened in the playoffs last year to them in Montreal, again, we don't know if this team can compete in the playoffs yet or anything like that, but they still got the firepower up front to score a lot of goals and to win by, a couple of goals with Marner, Matthews, Nylander leading the way. Their D, it's a solid core with Riley and Brody being the main guys there. And Campbell showed he can play last year. Mrazek, he's a good guy to have as your backup, or even if he's a bit of a starter. Both those guys probably aren't guys that can carry you for 60 games, but both of them are probably guys that will do good enough in 40 games each or something like that. So right now, I'm just gonna leave Toronto up at top, just based off of their firepower up front.
All right. Well, those are your Canadian rankings from Ray and Benny Talk Sports. That was a fast and fierce first episode there, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, brother. It was a pleasure talking sports with you, Benny. And I'm looking forward to talking in future episodes about what's going on in the NFL, the CFL, the NHL. We're going to talk baseball this week. We have no time. And now the Blue Jays are in the playoffs.
Damn
so
Jays.
Baseball is going to take a back burner for now. But we're going to come back next week more fast, more furious, with more sports. So we'll see you next week, Benny.
All right. We'll talk to you next week, Raymond. Have a good one.
Peace.